Hi, and welcome to this live reading from Scene by Lori Nelson. And this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Mouse. Mouse's nose crinkled in disgust as her brother led her deeper into the alley. This is disgusting. Are you sure I can't launch gossip somewhere else? She watched as Meph's hair turned orange with mischief, his mood-changing hair giving away his feelings. Ah, you jerk. This is on purpose, isn't it? Smiling, Meph nodded. What did you expect? My first hour back in town and my little sis wants a favor? You're supposed to protect me. It's your job as my big brother. She caught tints of yellow replacing the orange of his hair. What is it that you weren't telling me? Always curious, but it's none of your business. Now release the drone so you can find a news story worth writing about, and we can go home, Meph said. Kneeling, she slipped her backpack off her shoulder. She fell back, landing in a puddle when something squeaked and ran out from the trash under her knee. Meph's laughter broke her out of her litany of curses. It's not funny, Mouse snarled. Still snickering, he held out a hand to help her up. Afraid of your own namesake. I'm not, glowering at Meph. She used an old newspaper to wipe off the worst of the slimy muck. Now I'm all wet and disgusting. I can't stand around like this. Would your mentor go home because of some wet pants? Meph asked. Narrowing her eyes at Meph as his hair changed to orange, she sighed. Fine. If this stains, you owe me a new pair of pants. She pulled Gossip, her crow-shaped drone, out of her backpack, checking to make sure she didn't damage it when she slipped. Smoothing the feathers, she put Gossip on a dry piece of cardboard and removed the PDA, personal data assistant, that would allow her to control the drone. Turning it on, she checked the camera was viewable in the application. Ready, girl? Call! Gossip answered with her limited intelligence. Off you go. Find me a good story. Mouse watched as the drone's wings extended before launching itself into the air. So why did you decide to find a story on the dredges of society? Won't Dad be pissed? He asked. Mouse kept an eye on the drone as it dodged an aerial vehicle before answering. My mentor thinks it's time for me to move on to the harder stories than the fluff I've been writing about. To do that, I have to get outside of the government sector. Well, this is the best location and the safest alley around that I know of. 5 blocks from the worst parts of Hattiesburg and 10 blocks to the tracks. If you want to find a story that will impress your mentor, it will be found somewhere in this radius. Kicking a pile of trash to cover vomit, Meph pulled out his PDA and tapped a quick response to someone. Whoever texted him had him smiling. Mouse frowned as his hair turned from normal brown to red and a grin plastered his face, giving him a goofy look. She giggled. Who was that? She asked, putting her hand on his arm, trying to pull the PDA down so she could read the contents. Told you to stop being snoopy. Gray shot through the red hair. Letting his arm go, she turned to Gossip's footage on her PDA. 2 people, wearing stained and holy clothes, fought each other over something in an alley. Moving Gossip around, she spotted a brown bag sitting among the garbage. Nothing stood out about the bag. The drone's camera panned over the 2 men as one shot the other before picking up the bag and running off. Homeless people killing another, not newsworthy. She let Gossip fly on. Her mind returned to her brother. At least Meph could kill things. He didn't have to sit back and watch as humanity tore itself apart. Even if she called the police, the response times were astronomical, and for a homeless person, they would laugh or worse, fine her for wasting their time. How long do you want to be out here? Meph asked, his fingers posed to shoot off another text once she answered. Why? Hot day? She could hear him sigh as he ran a hand through his hair. Why are you being so difficult? Maybe I want to spend time with my brother. He's been gone for a month. I have a paying job. I'm not father with endless money and free time, he said, turning his attention back to the text message on his PDA before glaring at a piece of trash floating down into the alley from above. What? She screamed as the wall behind her exploded into chunks with the impact of bullets. Get behind the dumpster, Meph growled. Laughter from the rooftop was replaced by more gunshots and screaming from the streets. Meph grabbed her arms and spun her behind him. Go, get behind the dumpster. Shoved toward the wall, she caught herself before the PDA could get damaged. Bullets slammed into the dumpster and some ricocheted off the wall above her. She ducked and started pushing herself into the dark space behind the metal trash container, falling straight into a puddle with a layer of slime and a smell that made her want to vomit. Wait, give me the PDA. Careful to keep the PDA out of the mess, she held it out from her hiding spot. Don't damage Gossip, Mouse demanded, her hands shaking. Taking it, Meph's hair was pitch black as he fumbled with the note in his wrist. She watched as he tried to maintain a watch on the rooftops and connect himself to the PDA to control gossip. With his gun out, seeing him trying to do it one-handed would have been funny in any other situation. She jumped as more people screamed on the street beyond the alley. Peering up at the rooftop, she didn't see who was shooting at them. She could hear their laughter, though. "Hurry, Meph," she whispered, and not wanting to interrupt his concentration. The gunfire stopped as fast as it started. The laughter of the gang members dwindled as they got farther away from the chaos they left behind. Mouse could hear people screaming in pain. Daring to look beyond the dumpster toward the end of the alley, she knew the images would stay with her for the rest of her life. A teenage boy around her age lay in the streets, sprawled on the sidewalk. The red of his blood glistened in the afternoon sun. He was riddled with bullets, but she would forever remember the image of the back of his head splayed out behind him. "Are you okay?" Meph asked. He still had his weapon out as he peered into the camera on the PDA. Gold was replacing the black of his hair. Nodding, she let him help her out from behind the dumpster. "Good." Meph holstered his weapon, returning the PDA to her. "Let's get out of here, back to the government sector where it's safe. You can get your story there." Calling the drone back to land in the alley, she nestled Gossip into her backpack. "Not back to the government sector, please." Grabbing his arm, she widened her eyes and gave him the most pathetic look possible. "Mouse," growling Meph pulled her behind him, away from the end of the street where the gang had concentrated most of their fire. Shaking off her brother's arm, Mouse watched as an aerial emergency vehicle landed for one of the higher-class citizens that could pay the extra cost for the fast service, while the rest of the people would have to either make their way to hospitals on their own or wait hours or days for a response. "We need to get out of this alley before someone else takes advantage of the situation." Ignoring her brother, she picked up her backpack and slung it over her shoulder. Hurrying, she continued following her brother to the opposite end of the alley. "Please take me somewhere else so I can get something that's newsworthy." "You like filth over corporate corruption? Those are stories worth writing about, and they'd keep you safe. Didn't think my sister enjoyed playing in the grime of alleys." Shoving her shaking hands in her pockets, Mouse couldn't think of a good comeback. "I graduate next spring, and I'd like the paper to hire me full-time. I can't do that if I keep writing fluff articles." "Dad plans on you going to college, not getting hired full-time at some tabloid," Meph told her. "The Hattiesburg Post is not a rag willing to print anything from the top of our heads. I research the stories that I turn in," Mouse replied. "You aren't like the rest of these teenagers out here on this side of the wall. You have a parent, and he can afford the cost of education. Take advantage of it." "I'll think about college. Until then, please give me every chance to write a good paper and be hired." Streaks of red were running through the gold as he ran his hands through his hair, but she could tell that he was going to give in. Biting her lip to keep the smile from showing, she crossed her arms and arched an eyebrow at him. "Fine," he growled. "Car. Now."